Game number 5, ladies and gentlemen, the last map in this series. It's a 2-2 score right now between the Protoss player, sorry, the Zerg player at the bottom of the map. This is of course Targa. Let's introduce him first here on Heavy Rain. And the man in pink, think pink, that's his mantra. Starting to the top of the map, he's also called the Pink Panther. It is Harstem. And good old Harstem is currently in a spot where he decides to drop the pile in his main base. We're most likely going to see a gateway opening for him once again. At the bottom of the map, for a second I really thought that Targa might start things off with an early pool again, but I was mistaken. I was just waiting for the resources for his Overlord, and that should be a little bit more of a normal game between the two of them. Targa was really aggressive in the fourth game, trying to end that early. With the gold-based advantage that he had, he could have really just started to go into a mid and late game. That would probably have helped him a lot there. At the top left now we have, as already expected, the gateway. So with that opening you get the warp gate research a little bit faster than you usually would have it with a forge opening. And that helps you quite a bit. So if you have that, then you can attack a third base. If the Zerg player decides to get this normal third base timing at 4:20 in the game, or maybe at 4 minutes, then it's a massive problem for you, because you can't just simply move in and take him down. So that is pretty dangerous. But Targa knows that too. This is one of the things that Zerg players have experienced on ladder and everywhere since Daniwa was able to get into the finals against Lenok at DreamHack back then. And well, that's one of the main reasons why right now Zerg players are either cutting probes or drones, or while they are saying, okay, I'm going to start things off with a later third base. And, well, Targa is a little bit impressed. He pulls one drone down, but this is of course a fake out. There's no forge, there's simply just one pile that he's gonna cancel, and there it is. One drone, that's all there's to it, and that was not really worth it for Harstem. He lost more resources by cancelling the pylon than Targa lost by sending another drone down to the bottom right. So Targa must be pretty happy about the opening here, whereas Harstem goes into the nexus at the top left. Gas also already been taken in the main base for him. That's what we see right there. And well, looking real quick into the base of Harstem, we have him now with the second simulator already taken. And what was that? What was he doing with that probe there? It was a weird dance that we saw. That's a cybernetics core summoning dance, I guess. And he's already getting that into the game now, starting with his gas mining too. So for the Protoss, it's usually just a question, what kind of tech route do we want to go down, and usually it's the Stargate these days. That's what most Protoss players do, and for very good reason. It's just a very strong opening, especially against Zerg. Taking down Overlords is a pretty cool thing. At the natural, we already have an Overlord just hovering here, and he just double-checked that there is actually a base. So looking at the vision, you can really see that that space was already spotted. He had a quick look in the main base, so at least one of the gases. And on the other hand, we have, of course, Harstem, who knows about this base by now. Doesn't really have the most scouting information in the main, but he knows that there is one extractor. So at least he kind of knows what's going on. What he doesn't know is that they're still mining with one drone. Usually you pull out all three, depending a little bit on how fast you want to attack into layer. But the important thing is, of course, to get the 100 gas so that you can start with your own speed upgrade. And that will already put a bit of a stop to early aggression of the Protoss player with gateway units. As long as it's small commitments. You cannot just simply run out onto the map with a Stalker if there are speedlings already. If you want to go into a heavy gateway commitment with like 4 to 7 or 8 gates, you can of course do that. The more gates, the more all-inish it is. But with speed, that's something... Like, speed is something that you need to have as a Zerg player if you want to go up against the gateway composition. Simple as that. If you don't, just go for pure roach. And then sometimes you can skip the speed upgrade, but it happens very rarely. Usually Zergs really want to have that. Especially since links are one... Like, building links is one of the panic buttons that you sometimes have. If you watch the lower leagues and you've ever watched a couple of games in, like, what, I don't know, bronze or gold or whatever, a lot of times when a Zerg player loses his army, he's just maxing out on Zerglings no matter what he's up against, just because it's like the go-to panic button. They are cheap, you get them in abundance, and therefore you can sometimes really turn things around, as they're also fast at the battle scene. But for now, we have speed upgrade research, is not skipping it. We have also the Roach Warren on the way. A third base is being built by Targa a little bit later in the game, as we already suggested earlier. So if you get the base this late, you usually already have the economy to really support building units if you need them. But for Harstem, we see a forge in his own base now. Pretty tight wall that he has there. And with the forge, he's already signaling that he wants to go into an upgrade game. The pylon back here is also very interesting because that will allow him to put cannons right over there, or maybe even in here, if he needs one. If there's, for example, a base trade scenario, or if there's a massive Mutalist commitment, then as a Protoss player you would do well to at least add 1 or 2 cannons. That keeps probes alive. And the third base, on the other hand, is a little bit exposed on heavy rain. But Targa doesn't really have anything that he can really send over to take that down, except for the links that could force a cancel at this point, this early in the game. He cannot fight an army, but the canceller is fine. There's nothing else, so those links actually with a great job here. There's not a Roach force or a Hydra force or anything like this, but as long as Harstem doesn't really have a lot of units that can contest or protect the space, it's absolutely okay to just try to delay this with Zerglings. So nice cancel already forced out here. That's not gonna hold on for much longer. But now we have also the Hydralistance being started. And the one thing that Targa wants to accomplish here is just simply delaying that third base for as long as he can, so that the Protoss player doesn't have a third base of income. Down at the bottom we have those Phoenixes just watching. It's a little bit of a staring contest between the Spore Crawler and the Phoenix, trying to find out who has the better stamina here. And to the top we now have finally, with the help of a couple of force fields, the Zerglings trapped, a few of them trapped and taken out, and the remaining Lings, they learned their lesson. They are already moving back to home, probably crying on their mother's arms. I don't know what they're gonna do, but the one thing is definitely true, they're not gonna try to force a cancel here once again. The Lings, well, maybe they're a little bit more resilient to being killed than I thought. They're trying to move in again, but this Nexus is gonna happen. This time it's gonna work. They're trying to force something here, but there are the Zealots already, and the force fields of the Sentries can be dropped any second. Down at the bottom of the map, we still have Phoenixes, but now with the Hydras, the Phoenixes need to be careful. On the other hand, the same is true for Hydralisks. Like 2 Hydralisks would be well advised to not go up against 5 Phoenixes. That's not going to end well, boys. I can already tell you that much. Starting to the top left, we are currently having yeah, we are currently having the Phoenixes just trying to help out a little bit at that third base. But in terms of tech, we see the Twilight Council being started here, and we also have Void Rays in build. For Targa, we have the Infestation Pit, and you know Targa is one of the few players where I really think he's gonna still build a lot of Infestors. He did that in the last few games, and it actually worked really well. Like, those Fungals helped him a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised to really see him go for the same thing again. Usually would say, yep, he's gonna go into a Hive tech that will give him Viper tech, that will give him a lot of other opportunities here. But so far, we've seen a lot of Infestors by Targa, and they worked out really well for him, especially in combination with those Hydras and the Roach build that he had in a few of the games. And here comes also already the Pathogen Glance upgrade. We have Grooved Spines also being researched, the upgrade, the range upgrade for the Hydralisk, that is, and even more drones being built. So at this point, Targa is having a pretty decent standing in the game. He looks at the 4th base that he's taking. He's once again spreading his creep, giving him the vision, giving him the mobility advantage that he will have over his opponent. And Harstem is still on his 3 bases, is sitting tight, sitting pretty here, trying to just get his army out, get the upgrades in there, the +2 attack upgrade, get his production up to par with 3 additional gateways, already doing a decent job at that. That will put his gateway count, or his warp gate count, up to 8. And well, what exactly are we going to see from Targa? He has Infestors now, 6 in total. He also has 12 Roaches, so he's going for a very similar army composition to what we've seen him use in the last few games. And quite a lot of those battles he was able to win in overwhelming fashion, apparently, especially on the Habitation Station. That was really strong what he did there in the first fight before he fell off, because he just didn't have the income that he needed to really sustain that size. But for now, the Phoenixes are just still trying to be annoying in the main base. But with a double Spore Crawler commitment, it's not gonna accumulate to anything here. Another hallucinated Phoenix is having a quick look at that 4th base to the right side of the map. But just in general, Targa is already maxed out now, and he has a 6 lead in overall army supply. We have 90 against 120 roughly. Also, the worker supply is currently in Harstem's favor, which means that Targa will have the bigger army, even if Harstem is able to max out here. And talking about like maxing out and people attacking and going for aggression, Targa is now trying to move across the map, and we have seen a lot of Zerg players that had a problem since they were attacking in choke point situations and cut off by their opponent with simple force fields. Doesn't really look like it's gonna happen right here, but with that ramp and all those sentries on the top, he should be careful, and he's not really. With all those zealots, it's going to be very tough to make anything happen with the roaches. You should move in and try to snipe those sentries, but suddenly it's time for the infestors to join the fun. But you have another fungal being set up, but the phoenixes are moving in, and they take down at least one of the infestors. They are being sniped by those hydras, but if talking about sniping, Targa is losing a lot of supply, but the same is true for Harstem. And Harstem is the one who is really a tough time to keep his army alive, especially since now most of the ground units are already gone, and that means that we have very few force fields that he can use against his opponent. He's trying to chase the surviving units away, but the problem is going to be the reinforcements that are going to catch up in just any second with the Protoss player's army. A good Funglia immobilizing all of those zealots, and they'll be taken out right away. 4 bases for a Zerg player, only 3 for the Protoss. And this base is going to be attacked very soon. There could be another fungal right there. That would hit a lot, but I don't think he has too many infestors left. 2 are moving in. They don't have the energy anymore. There comes a warp in of zealots trying to fend off the attack on that base, but that immortal is absolutely out of position. Goes down immediately. He's not going to help against those roaches. Not at all. Harstem is trying to do what he can. He doesn't have too many hydras up against him. We only have 7, so the Void Rays are doing a lot of damage, and that's a big problem for Targa right now. He's trying to do as much damage as he can, but it's difficult for him to get close enough to Immortals in the back to really do the damage that he needs. The Hydras really have to focus those Void Rays, and they finally do. One is down, the second one about to fall. Immortals are still trying to move back. The first gateways are falling. This means that production is going to be limited for Harstem. Once more, the Roach is moving and trying to get close enough to those few Immortals to take them out. The first Immortal has 11 kills, the second one has 12, 14 by now. But here they are, the Phoenixes are going, the Void Rays are going once again against those Hydras. And the Hydras, there are too many of them. There are too many Hydras for the Void Rays to really win this, and suddenly Harstem is down 90 supply, and it looks like Targa is gonna win Daddy some money. GG has been called, and Targa takes the best of 5 with a 3-2 and advances to the semi-final at the Esports Venture Cup.